everyone, this is Marcy Lamberson. Today we're going to be working on stringer control, and this video is being made especially for the Beginning Lampwork Challenge group on Facebook. I'm a moderator there and I really enjoy making tutorials to help. So perhaps you aren't familiar with Filigrana, or maybe you are and you have no idea what to do with it. Let me give you some examples. Here, Filigrana. You can see that it's a core of color with transparent glass around the outside of it. It's totally encased in it. And you might have gotten this with a beginner pack or something and thought, uh-oh, I'm not sure what to do with it. I'll just hang on to it. So I'm going to show you something that's kind of fun to do with it. Now, Filigrana comes in a variety of ways. Some of them have white core. I hope you can see this. I'm trying real hard to show you here, this green, this pink. White, of course, has it. And then a lot of them are solid core also, all the same. I'm very partial to the ones with the white core, although I know a lot of people don't. But for me, I think they just kind of shine and make everything look pretty snazzy. Today, though, we're going to be working with the black that obviously does not have a white core. It's all black. And we're using it because it is a stiffer glass. You know how dark transparent colors are the stiffer ones? Well, this one is, and so I think it's going to be a little bit easier for you to be using it. And we're going to make a base bead. We're going to pull, hang on a sec, I forgot to turn on the concentrator. Give me just a sec, I'll keep talking. So, we're going to be using the stiffer black Filigrana, and we're going to be using it on a periwinkle color glass. But first we want to pull the Filigrana into stringers. And you don't want them super thin because they'll still be harder to use. But the nice thing about Filigrana is because it's cased in clear, it gives you just a little bit more stiffness, sturdiness, thickness to work with. And I think when you're starting out with stringer control, that's a really fun way to do it. And you can pull it just a tiny bit thinner because you've got still plenty of glass around it. Okay, so my miner torch is on. I'm going to heat up my black Filigrana rod, and then I'm going to pull into stringers, and I'm going out in a softer part of the flame to start with. And I'm watching for a little bit of a glow. And you can see that glow right there, can't you? I'm going to pull it with my pliers. I tend to pull with glass or pliers most of the time. And I'm just getting a little bit of a glow. And then I'm going to wait a second, and then I'm going to start pulling. And then I'm going to dunk it in and out of the flame to keep pulling it. This takes a little bit of practice because if you heat it up too much, it's going to ball up or do something weird. So you kind of get used to just kind of pulling it slowly from the flame and out of the flame. It won't always be even, I'm warning you, and you'll probably want to pull a variety of them. So we're heating again. I'm not going to heat the end that is thinner from where we pulled before. And we're just going to keep going and pull a few of these. I tend to work below the flame. It's a little bit easier, and I'm watching the color of the glass. I don't want to pull too fast because same as with regular stringers, it'll make it too thin. So I'm watching the color for just a tiny bit of a glow. If it's glowing too much, I'm moving farther down the rod. If it's pulling very easily, I'll take the rod out of the flame 100% and just gently, slowly keep pulling. You don't want super long stringers. You want long enough to do a word if you're writing in cursive, but too long, they're kind of unwieldy to work with. So we're going to pull a couple, and then we'll get melting glass and making a base bead to play with it on. So I'm heating up a section. And then I'm going to let it cool a tiny bit. See how red it is? Whoa, whoa, whoa. That would pull really thin. But try a variety of thicknesses. I think you'll enjoy that, and just playing with it. So one of the things I do when I'm trying out something new, I call them my archaeology beads. What I do is I will draw on a bead, do something. If I don't like it, I'll just cover it back up with the glass, so then I don't have to mess with it again. And then do another one, because I just really want the canvas to be working on, to practice on. So I'll do it over and over again. Here's a periwinkle that I have had for forever. I'm going to crank up my flame just a tiny bit more to get the glass onto the mandrel. I'm using Dip and Go Blue Sludge, which is my favorite one to use. I use it because I do mostly sculptural beads. And sculptural beads can always use that little extra strength on the bead release. So I see the bead release is doing something weird a little farther down, but we're going to work up here a little higher and cross our fingers that it works out okay. I don't have another mandrel sitting right here for me to grab, so I'm trying to save this. And we're just melting, 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 melting. I'm going to work my way up towards the top of the mandrel, and I'm going to keep the bead release out of the flame, because the more you put it in the flame, the easier it is for it to crack and bubble. And I had a little bubble in there, it looks like, from before. My fault, not the bead releases. And what I'm doing is I'm going to add a lot of glass, and then I'm going to press it, and it will widen up, so I've got something to write on. I would think that if you have a lentil press, that would look really pretty with one of these word beads. Or, you know, just a heart-shaped bead would be pretty also. I'm just doing this simple one because I want to show you the technique. You are welcome to use whatever shape you want. And you might have a press, or you might have a roller that puts it into a nice shape before you press it, or you might want to work like on a round barrel bead, because that's really easy to write on. You just keep going around in the circle. But we're making a wide barrel bead, and then we're going to press it so it's going to be kind of horizontally oriented. And what we'll do is we'll marver it in a little bit. So we're still adding a little glass. I'm so glad you joined me. Now don't forget that you can subscribe to this station, please. That way you'll know when new videos are coming out, and I try to get them out every month or so. And also you can find some of my glass art on Instagram under Marcy Lamberson, or you can find me on Facebook as Marcy Lamberson, or Studio Marcy is my business page. Happy to have you in either place. My personal page, kind of though, is usually the first one that shows my new work, because of course I get excited and I want to show my friends. So feel free to friend me, and if I don't know you, maybe you send me a message and let me know who you are, so I don't think you're somebody that you aren't. Okay, so I have some parallel mashers that we're going to heat this up, and then we're going to press. And this is not perfect, so we might need to scooch some glass around after we press it to make it more even. So we're heating it up to a nice rosy glow, not all the way to the core, because the core can stay cool. We want the exterior, and I'm just making things a little more even. And we're going to heat that up and take the chill marks off, and then we're going to even it up a little bit more. See, there are a few chill marks there whenever you press. And then on this side also. And I think I haven't mentioned Don't make your first one if you haven't done this before on like white or ivory. You know how soupy that glass is. It's a little bit harder to work with. That's why I'm going with a periwinkle or a grumpy bear or whatever I have. I'm not sure which. This is a slotted paddle. I don't know whether you've ever seen them before. Susie makes them, I believe, or you can use, there are other tools that are similar. Barty has this tool, which works similarly. I have a couple of these. I take them for classes when I'm teaching. And I like to just kind of fix up the ends a tiny bit. And now we have a palette to write on. Okay, so I think this is wide enough for a small word. Don't get over ambitious and think I'm going to write 3 words and everything's gonna fit. It takes more room than you think. It's just kind of hard to do a little bit at first, and you know, I'm hoping that some of you are going to become excellent at it, so I can just say, yeah, they watched my video at the beginning. So this has a little bit of a bump on the end, so we're going to take that off, and I'm just going to heat up some of my bead release here and gently pull it off. And I'm going slowly so it cools, because if I go too fast when it's hot, it's just going to ball back up again. And let's see, when I'm filming this, it's the end of January, so of course I'm thinking of Valentine's Day. Let's write something mushy on it, okay? So I'm going to turn down my flame. I like it nice and small, and I'm going to make it a little fluffier, which is a little cooler. I need to keep the bead warm, but that's about it. And I work in the edge. I don't know what you can see right there. See where it just turned it rosy there? I work out a ways instead of the hotter part. I work a little farther out, and I keep the top of my bead warm, but not hot. There's a tiny bit of a glow, as you can see, when I warm it up, but not too much. Keep it warm. So I'm going to go to the outside, and let's write love across it, because I'm a hopeless romantic. Well, even at this old age. So I'm pressing down, and please don't judge my handwriting. I never got good grades in penmanship. I did an L, and oftentimes I'll keep a brass tool like my brass stump shaper around, and I'll just press it down a little bit. I don't want it to melt all the way in because I might want to move some of it around, and with it being slightly raised, I still have a little bit of an opportunity. This has a little bit of a curve. If I want it to be straight, I do the same thing I did before. I heat it up, I cool it a tiny bit, and I wipe it off onto my bead release. So let me heat up the bead, make sure it's nice and warm, and then we'll do a little more cursive. Okay, we've got the L down. I think we only have 3 letters to go. So one thing I need to remind you is that there is transparent clear around the edge of your stringer, which means that you won't be able to attach, like if you're doing a circle of an O, it won't go all the way together because you'll have clear in between the black. Just so you know when you're thinking about your writing, how you want to do it. And let's get started. Let's do an O, a V, and an E. Off the edge. So I'm going to heat up the back while that's cooling a little bit, and then we're going to take a peek. What do you think? For a lefty, who taught herself how to write. Not horrendous, it's legible. You can tell. I'm going to be an artist, not a doctor. All right, so we have one other side to practice on. We might as well do that. Should we do some printing? How about it? Let's write one of my favorite words, joy. But first, this is curved. Let's take care of business here. I'm kind of one of those glasses half full type people all the time. And so let's write something that reflects that. Top bar, and remember, You're not going to be able to match it exactly because of the clear in between. I'm going to go over the top of it and make a big J. And let's do the rest. A smaller O. I'm really hoping your handwriting is better than mine though. Okay, so I have a little tail sticking up. I have two options. I can press it down a tiny bit, or I could pull off the edge. I decided to press it down with brass. And we've got one more letter. We're printing today. And we're gonna make a kind of funky Y. So first one, and I'm just gonna show you because we haven't done this yet. I've got just that edge. This is cooled down a bit. This edge is sticking up. I can pull off some of that and thin it down a tiny bit. And then I usually press that down. But if it's too thick, you can go in and heat up just that section and thin it out. So we're gonna get rid of some of my ball at the end. And we'll do our final. Over the top and around. Hooray. Okay, so we have done 2 words. See what you can do. Try cursive, try printing, and here's joy, and here's love. Both of them 2 things that I really look forward to all the time. See you again soon. Don't forget to subscribe. Take care. Bye.